everybody here with like using Twitter and Foursquare and Facebook. Like, I know a few of you. Like, I know you're on Twitter often and stuff. So okay, awesome. Okay. Well, I was asked to do the social aspect of social networking. Like, I know you saw in a lot of the keynote speakers that there's a lot that you can do as far as political aspects and a lot more of the grand scale. But I'm actually going to go to a more traditional route and talk about more like interpersonal connections on especially a more local level, like connecting with people in your community. The reason that I was asked to do this is I am new to Pittsburgh. I only moved here about a year ago. And I would say that about 90% of the people that I have met here have been thanks to social networking and social media. That's how I built almost my entire social support group here in Pittsburgh. So I guess they thought it was a good example of that. I started a blog back when Xanga was popular. I don't know how many of you remember things like Xanga back in the 90s. I started doing that about when I was 14, just writing different things. A bunch of friends had it, commenting on each other's. And then obviously, that Facebook became really popular several years ago, and now we have Twitter and Foursquare and all of that. So I personally think that Twitter is one of the best ways to connect with people. How many people here have a Twitter account already? Does everybody have one? Okay. Some people don't. What I find is that you can have really great interpersonal connections through Twitter on a local level. It's really easy to meet people. Like, I don't know, you heard them talking a lot about the hashtags and everything like that. You can see what's going on in your community. If you have an interest, you can research different things. A lot of people have even found jobs and stuff through things like Twitter. Let's see here. I know that, how many of you guys know Secret HTML? Laura? Yeah, I know you do. Okay. I think that Laura's
I'm not a ringer here, seriously.
You're not a beginner. That's why I was so surprised that you're here, because you're pretty advanced.
No.
I think Laura's a really good example of getting people connected on both, well, she started out on a local level and then on a national level, because she really used Twitter and her blogs to get things started. There's a lot of blogs out there that have a lot of specific content, such as a food blog or a political blog and things like that. And a lot of people started out that way because blogging started before Twitter. And that's what I had done. I have a Pittsburgh blog. It's Pittsburgh Perambulations. If anybody wants the address for that, I can give it to you later. And when I moved to Pittsburgh, I just started taking pictures of the city, visiting restaurants, checking things out, and just kind of recording my adventures here. And through different search engines like Google and stuff like that, I was able to find other Pittsburgh bloggers. And you leave comments on each other's blogs and things like that. And then I got really involved in Twitter. And what's nice is you can meet, one person through Twitter. And then Twitter is much more conversational than blogging, especially like if you have a smartphone and you're able to be on it throughout the day. You can talk to people, have conversations with people, figure things out. How many people have ever been to a tweet up in Pittsburgh? How many people know what a tweet up is? Let's do that. Okay, but not that many people have gone. Okay, that to me is one of the best ways to do social networking and connections, because we have our online life and then we have in real life, which I don't know how many of you have heard the term IRL for in real life. One of the best ways to do that is through organizing events and things through tweet-ups and meetups. It's really easy to do. I know if you do the Twitter handle is PGH Tweetup, isn't that just what it is? It's PGH Tweetup. They have a special website where you can organize different events, things like that. For example, I know that we did one at OES Social Ice Cream one place, so you get to know people on Twitter and you get to talk to them throughout the day. But then what happens to like the real interpersonal connections and getting to know people in person? It's good to organize events where you can meet up with people at local coffee shops, local community events, the festivals that are going on. So that's one of the things that I think is really important in using Twitter. Let's see here. It's very good for getting your word out. I don't know how many people, I know a of people in Pittsburgh do special interest groups and blogs and websites. There's a lot of local businesses, a lot of there's a huge crafting community, just as an example. Here in Pittsburgh, there's political groups, and what's good is you can intertwine all of your different social media groups, because you can have the short links and everything. So if you have a blog and you talk about things that are specific to your interests, such as, I'm going to use myself as an example because it's best to talk about what you know. I am somebody who has a lot of food allergies, for example, and for about 5 years I lived as a vegetarian as well. And so one of the things that's really cool is if you have a special interest such as that, you can start up a blog with resources on different things. In my instance, I would do things like restaurant reviews or recipes, things like that. And then you get people connected by using something like Twitter. You can post the links that you write and kind of do the hashtags food blog or vegetarian or allergies. And people will search for that, not just locally, but nationally and worldwide. And then they'll click on your link and you go to your blog. And then you can connect through that way and you can refer back to each other. And when you meet local people, you can kind of connect in that way, share resources and things like that. Let's see, I don't know how many of you have Foursquare. How many people have smartphones and use Foursquare? Okay, not very many people. Yeah, that Foursquare is kind of discriminatory in the sense that you do have to have a smartphone. Foursquare, I don't know, does everybody know what it is at least? Do we have an aspect? Yeah. That's also really fun because I don't know if you've noticed a lot of the hashtags going on for PodCamp right now, but people are working on something called the Swarm Badge going on. Foursquare is kind of like a game that you play where you can connect and check in to different places and locations. And it's really fun to use that in conjunction with Twitter because you can send the places that you've checked in on Twitter on Foursquare onto Twitter. And so it's really good for the tweet-ups and everything that I've told you about. And Facebook to me, I have kind of a complicated relationship with Facebook. I know that Facebook is still a really big aspect of everything, but I feel like Facebook is not necessarily the place to meet people. It's to kind of maintain established relationships because with the privacy features of Facebook, you can search for people on Twitter by interest. And if you have one friend and they reply to somebody, you can see that person and talk to them. But you can't really do that with Facebook, because you have to do the adding request. To me, Facebook is good. If you have a special, if you have a blog, you can create a fan page. If you have a local business, you can create a group for advertising and such. And I feel like Facebook is moving more in that direction with interpersonal connections beyond family and already established friends and stuff. So that's just kind of a general overview of Twitter and Facebook, and I'm a really conversational person. So I wanted to leave a lot of time for more so a discussion. Make it a discussion on questions. How do you do this? How does this work? What would be the best way to go about this and that? So does anybody have any questions where they're at, things that they're wondering about?
Well, I'll tell you what I do, and then I have some
Sure.
questions, because I'm by no means an expert. I'm the research director at Channel 4.
Okay.
And so I have LinkedIn and I have Twitter.
Yes.
And I refuse to play in Facebook because I only have so much time in my life.
Understandable.
My husband does Facebook, and I'm you connect with everybody we know. I'm working over here.
Yeah.
So when I try to do, I have the Twitter and LinkedIn kind of together, because it's if I do something on LinkedIn, I think it goes to Twitter, I checked something.
You can connect it, yeah. You can do those.
And I don't junk it up. It's usually I'm trying to share research reports so whoever follows me can see what's going on with TV networks, what the latest Nielsen studies are.
Okay.
But where I'm a little clunky or don't understand, I know when you're tagging something, that's so you can have content grouped by a category.
Yes.
If I put in the text of my tweet, pound whatever,
the
Nielsen,
hashtag, yeah.
Nielsen Hispanic or something, then is that a search? When I go back to Twitter, how do I use that hashtag if I put it in my text?
Like, will the hashtag become a search aspect? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Absolutely. The hashtag, the pound sign, that's what that's for. When you want to search for something, say you want to search for something going on in Pittsburgh, or I don't know what the latest celebrity is doing, whatever it is you're interested in, people use hashtags to create a search. If you go onto the internet or on your smartphone and you have a hashtag, you'll probably see that the hashtag is turned blue or like whatever color setting you preferenced your Twitter page to. And you can click on that. And that will bring up conversations that other people are talking about right now with your hashtag. So, like, for example, this event here is PodCamp Pittsburgh 5. And they were talking about how the hashtag is PCPGH5. So if you hop on Twitter right now, like I've been doing all day, and you put the hashtag in there, then what you can do is you can go back and you can click on that hashtag.
So I'm not searching for that word. I'm actually clicking on the hashtag
Yes.
within.
I mean, you can search for a
I
word.
could type that in.
Yeah, because there's a search box in Twitter and on your mobile app. There is a search box on there, but you can just click on somebody's hashtag. Like whether it be, you know, I know in a lot of the elections they had special hashtags and things like that. You can click on the hashtag, and it will bring up like a real-time list, and it will tell you like all the different tweets going on that people have tagged with that hashtag. So if you were to pull up your Twitter account right now, click on the hashtag for PodCamp, you would see all the tweets that are going on right now where people are tagging their own tweets about, you know, PodCamp Pittsburgh. And that's one of the great things about social networking is since you know, like, I guarantee you don't know everybody here because over 500 people register. One of the great things about it is then you can see all these people who are here, who are talking about PodCamp. You can read what they're saying, kind of get a feel for where they're at, what they're interested in, who they are, and then you can add them as friends to follow them and to be contacts with them, and then they will see that, and they, you know, you can interact, and that's what gets the ball rolling in Twitter. That's how you get those connections. For example, Jackie, I was not following you this morning.
Yeah.
And I was searching the PodCamp Pittsburgh hashtag, and I saw that she was coming to my session. I started following her, and then she noticed that, started following me, and so now we have that connection, and it'll stay that way. So now she'll show up on my friends list of people that I follow, and all future tweets and posts and everything that Jackie puts up, I will see. And now I can start interacting with Jackie, and we can use each other as social resources now because we have that connection. So hashtags are very much a key in Twitter for finding out specific information. So.
By the way, speaking of which, you might want to make sure you're speaking loud enough that the people that are watching online can hear you.
Sorry if you can't hear me.
Not you specifically, just all the speakers.
All speakers, yeah, I understand that. I was like, oh no, somebody's saying I can't hear Scout. So, does anybody else have any other questions about how to interact and, you know, get to know people, resources, things like that?
Well, there's actually oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a website I found. It's WT#.com.
Mm-hmm.
It explains more about hashtags and
Yeah.
the common trend ones and everything like that.
Definitely.
If you want to look at that.
And I don't know if you've noticed the when you're on Twitter's main webpage, if you're using the web, the trending topics. That's a national level. They're starting to get it where you can search on a more local level. Like, I know they have Philadelphia as a city that you can set yourself to, but they haven't added our city yet. So hopefully they'll work on that soon. So.
Just if somebody follows you, are you obligated to follow them back?
No, you're not. I mean, I know there's a lot of like social nuances of etiquette when it, I mean, it's always nice and it's helpful, but I mean, if you were to go and look at my Twitter page, you would see that the amount of people following me is greater than the amount that I'm following. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool to look and see who's following you, who's interested in you, and if you can read their Twitter pages and see, you know, oh, they're interested in this, or oh, they live here, oh, they know this person that I know, then yeah, I mean, it's cool to start following them back and interacting, but you're not necessarily obligated to do so, you know. Because especially you'll find that businesses use social networking like crazy. If you are an active Twitter user, you're probably going to find that a lot of businesses follow you and things like that. And like I know a lot of local crafters and stuff will follow me. I have American Eagle following me because especially like if you mention different businesses or products or something, they're going to search for that on Twitter because I think there was a little video clip on that for the keynote speaker. A lot of businesses are using that to track their customer service and everything. I have a friend who had a really big issue with Comcast, and they complained about it on Twitter, and were like bad-mouthing Comcast and everything. Comcast found it, saw it, they didn't want the bad, reputation online, they fixed the person's issue right away. They contacted them directly and were like, how can I help, what can I do to resolve your issue? So I've even found that I've actually complained about various companies and businesses and things like that, just like ranting on Twitter, and I've had people contact me for customer service to resolve issues. So if you have a business or an organization, if you're a part of something, I highly recommend that you look into the different products that people are talking about. If you are a crafter of something specific, look in and see what people are talking about the type of product you have. That's a great way to advertise yourself. Be like, oh, you're looking for, notebooks or something like that. I have this, and you can provide a link to what you offer, things of that nature. So, yes.
Another thing that you can do if you're a blogger is there's different applications you can set up. Like she mentioned, I have a Facebook page for my blogs.
Yes.
And I use an application called Network Blogs that automatically feeds. When I post a blog, it automatically feeds onto my Facebook page and my Twitter account.
Yes.
So that I don't have to go and post that in 3 different places. It uploads it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And then by doing that, people searching for specific topics will find me on Twitter automatically.
And that is a very good point, especially like if you do use multiple social media avenues. If you are a blogger and you blog either for your business or political causes or whatever your interest is, using those connections, like I know, I think on BlackBerry they have Social Scope and things like that. There's all different types of clients where you can have your posts automatically fed onto things like Twitter and Facebook with like shortened links so that people can go to it. And like she said, that helps connect, more with whatever you're trying to publicize in the world. I'm kind of lame. I do that manually because my blog is more of a personal blog. It's not necessarily an advocacy blog or anything. It's just kind of a, hey, here's what's going on in Pittsburgh. And so sometimes I don't feel like all of my posts are pertinent to be broadcasted everywhere else. So I manually do that, and you can too. Another thing that I wanted to mention is Twitter clients. How many people use a Twitter client already? Okay, like 2 or 3 people. There are different Twitter clients, like I said, Social Scope, Hootsuite, TweetDeck, things like that. Those are really helpful if you manage multiple resources at once. For example, I have a crafting blog and Twitter account. It's been a little bit dead lately. I've been slacking off. But Hootsuite is really great because if you have, say, 2, 3 different Twitter accounts for multiple purposes, like you have separate online identities, I highly, highly recommend getting a Twitter client because you're not constantly having to sign in and out of things. You can have all of your different Twitter names up there at once, and it's really great for multitasking. For example, my personal Twitter account where I interact on a social level, just connecting with friends, is synonym for walk. That's me. However, I make headbands and I'm kind of like a local crafter in the Pittsburgh area, and my business name is Oh How Lovely Designs. So I have that as a Twitter, Oh How Lovely is a Twitter handle too. And at first it was really hard for me to interact between the two, like the professional world and the social world online. And I found that using something like Hootsuite, that's what I personally use, helps me manage both of my accounts in a more efficient way. And what's also interesting about having multiple identities is you can advertise yourself. I think one of the perfect examples of that is, I don't know how many of you know Subu Rose. She's a local crafter here. She makes recycled notebooks. but she is also part of the Pittsburgh Craft Collective. She is also a vegetarian blogger and everything like that. She has like 4 or 5 different accounts. And yes, I'm talking about you, Emily. So she uses things like Hootsuite and stuff well, where she can manage her different identities in her accounts. And I think she's even doing a presentation on that today or tomorrow. So if you have multiple, like, you know, online identities, on how to multitask all of that. So, which I recommend that too, because if you try and talk about everything all at once on one identity, it can kind of get muddied, because it kind of muddles your message of what you're trying to send, you know. So, because like I said, people search for different topics and points of interest, and if you're like bouncing all over the place, you can kind of get lost in the interwebs. So, any other questions or thoughts, discussions? So, no, nobody has any other questions? Anything to say?
Do you use, being researchy, I use Delicious a lot, which
Okay.
I know has been around forever and ever, but I find it really handy
Mhm.
for me to log all my articles that I find in different business categories.
Yeah.
And do you have any thoughts on
I
that?
mean, I personally, like, there are all kinds of different social media resources out there depending on what you need or what you use. In my personal life, I haven't found a lot of need for using that, to be honest with you. I use LinkedIn a lot, and I use Twitter, I use Facebook, I use Foursquare, I have my blog, but as far as like saving different, you know, websites and things like that, I kind of do old-fashioned bookmarking. I haven't really adopted a Twitter client for that yet. One thing that I do use a Tumblr account, but again, that's not for like professional things like articles and stuff. That's like, I'm kind of a photography nerd.
What is Tumblr? I've heard of
Tumblr, okay. Tumblr is, you can use it like a blog, like Blogger, because it's a mixed media social resource. You can post videos on Tumblr, you can post music and audio clips on Tumblr, you can post photographs, text. I know a lot of people use it as an actual blog instead of using WordPress or Blogger. Those are different blog websites that you can use for your domain. So some people use it as their blog. For example, I know there's a fashion blogger here in Pittsburgh, Stylish White Female. She uses Tumblr. So if you have, you know, something that you want to advertise in like a mixed way of, you want to post videos or sound clips or pictures, Tumblr is a really good resource for that. And you follow people on Tumblr just like you would on Twitter. You can find people, search for people, and follow their accounts. And the main page is called a dashboard. And there's a running list of all of different people's posts. And what's nice is there's something called like a reblogging feature, which is similar to Twitter's retweet, where if you like something or you want to share something, say you found a great article or a great soundbite that you want to share on your own Tumblr account, you can reblog it and it'll show up on yours and it'll be referring back to them. So that's nice because they can kind of get more social contacts because you've referred to theirs. And the same goes for you. Say you post an interesting article or an announcement or something along those lines, and somebody searches for it or they find it or they already follow you, they can reblog what you've done and it will refer back to you. And so that will increase your social networking as well, because people are like, oh, that soundbite came from this person, and they'll go and look at your Tumblr account and maybe find more of your resources. So, any other questions? Nothing? Let me see if there's anything else that I really desperately had to share with everybody.
Why do you think some types of social media flourish and explode, and some, like Twitter, and
Oh
some
my gosh.
die a slow and painful death, like MySpace or Friendster? For those
MySpace to me, I think a lot of it depends on how does the company run their product. when new people arrive, like Twitter just came, it wasn't here. It kind of stole some of the attention away from things like Facebook, and obviously Facebook stole attention away from MySpace. I think it's what do people have to offer you, and what do you need? We are a very communicable. Is that a word? I'm going to make it a word. That's my new word for the day. Society. And I think that things like MySpace and Facebook are just not sufficient for who we are as a culture anymore. That's why we need things like Twitter. And Twitter is a good resource for referring back to more stable places like blogs and Facebook. We like to talk, we like to know what's going on. We are a very fast-paced society. What is happening right now, what events are going on. And so I think that's a lot of why there's been a shift to a much more conversational aspect. That's just my personal opinion. And MySpace really kind of became much more of like a flashy entertainment aspect. And as you probably noticed in the keynote speakers address and videos, we're becoming much more of like a resource type of society when it comes to social media. I mean, yeah, there's the friendship aspect and just the chatting, but we like to be able to know about events and resources and things like that. And I think that the new social media aspects out there are more useful. So.
Just like, this isn't like a cut and dry question, I guess, but
sure.
Do you find because you're on Twitter a lot, then you're actually hanging out with real friends less often, or?
No, just the opposite, and maybe I should have expounded on that. I mean, obviously it helps if your other in real life friends are also on the internet. I do have a couple friends who, for some reason, they have something against Twitter. I don't know why, and they refuse to get an account. No, like I said in the beginning, I have met so many people here through Twitter because people that I meet online become my real life friends, especially if you know them on a local level. I moved to this city not knowing a soul within at least an hour's radius of here. And I just hopped on Twitter, started searching, I lived in Squirrel Hill, and I just even started searching simple things like Squirrel Hill, who lives around me. Restaurants, events. I would go to different resources. I am a huge fan. I'm going to give a plug for this. livingpittsburgh.com. I think it's amazing to look at all the events going on in the city because they have free and affordable events that keep track of things that you can do. And so, you meet people and then you go places through there. I started out knowing maybe 2 or 3 people. I met Subaru Rose, Emily. She's a local Twitter person. And through her, because she talks to people throughout the day, you have the reply, that, the @ symbol, and then you reply to people. I met somebody through that, oh, she talks to this person. Who is this person? I'm interested in them. Oh, cool. I'll follow them. I'll start talking to them, commenting on something that they say. If they say something interesting like, I like this or that, you can reply to that, and then you become in real life friends and get together. I started being like, hey, we live locally, you want to meet for coffee? Hey, you're a vegetarian too, let's go to this restaurant and check this out. And once you get comfortable talking to people online and they know that you're not some creepy stalker person, you're actually a real person locally with common interests and you're not trying to take somebody hostage, they'll be more open to meeting you in public places and getting to know who you are. And that's, like I said, that's how I built my entire social network here, is through finding people, through other people, and being we have this common interest, let's go do this together.
Yeah, it's just, I try to actually limit my time online, because I'm basically working in front of a computer all day long.
I understand that,
and then my friends started inviting me to these Facebook games, and they're just awful.
Yeah.
Farmville.
I have a prejudice against things like Facebook games. I mean, some people love them, no offense, seriously. I don't use things like Facebook for games. I use it for interpersonal connection and things like that. I just kind of ignore those. I probably have 150 requests sitting in my Facebook.
So I could get a Twitter account and update it, a couple times a week.
A couple times a week?
Yeah.
Oh my. I probably post 20 times a day. If you really want to connect with people through social networking and social media, you have to be active.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
like
somebody
especially with
ask me, right, and then I don't reply back until like next Sunday.
Oh,
It's like
no,
conversation of the day,
yeah,
right?
your online presence is gonna die if you do that. Just to be honest with you, seriously. That's okay for Facebook because I don't know. To me, Facebook statuses and tweets are completely different with different purpose. I don't know. And if anybody does this, I don't mean offense. When I see like 10 Facebook status updates in a day, I kind of like cringe and get a little bit annoyed, and I just want to say get a Twitter account because that's what that's for. Twitter is a communication. It's an ongoing conversation with tons of people. And if you're really not using Twitter more than like 2-3 times a week, people are going to miss you, and they're not really going to see your presence because they have a running news feed. And like I follow maybe almost 300 people, and if you are one person and you put up one tweet within 3 days, chances are I'm not going to see you because there's so many other tweets going on and so many other things that I'm looking at. You really got to push yourself out there.
Really?
So yeah, or else people aren't going to notice you.
Okay, but like, so I put a tweet out, right, and then somebody replies back to me. What's the etiquette of like minimum response time? Like I've got to hit them back in like 2 hours, or?
Well, see,
Don't do it in
I
a timely manner. They might not understand the context.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it really is a conversation. Obviously, it's not quite as fast as like you and I are talking right now because we're here, but it really is an ongoing daily conversation. So if somebody says something to you and you don't reply until like 16 hours later, you might be like, what? You know, like they might not even remember what they said. You know.
But the thing is, when you reply to them, it shows up in your reply.
Yes.
Like where you tweet back to them, in there it says reply back to synonym for walk. And that's a link back to her tweet when
Yes.
she tweeted to you.
Anytime you reference somebody, I don't know if you've noticed that, you know how you have the @ symbol and then their Twitter handle? That is a link just like a hashtag is a link. And that will go to their Twitter page.
Okay.
And you will get notifications if somebody references you. So I'm not sure, what's your Twitter handle?
I have one.
Oh,
I
okay.
have one, but it was hacked, so I haven't.
Okay, so if you have a Twitter handle and somebody mentions you or discusses you, you're going to get a notification popped up being like, hey, your name was used somewhere. And then you can go and look at that. And the same goes if you talk to somebody else and reply. It's very important to make sure that you're like actually using the @ symbol to reply, or else it's not going to become a link. Just like the hashtags and the @ symbols, that's what turns it into a link that you can click on and refer to things.
Okay, and so like if you're following 300 people, do you get like a ping every time one of those 300 people posts a message, or you can set it only when people are talking to you? Like,
you will get on your main Twitter dashboard, you'll get a running list of all tweets of everybody that you follow. And then, like, I'm going to use the example of on the web, not on smartphones, because all apps are created differently. On the web, there you'll see over on the right-hand side, you'll have your Twitter handle with the @ symbol. I believe it is. You can click on that, or it'll be like your replies. And it'll create a running list of all tweets that everybody has ever made that has your name there, and you can see it. Twitter also has a fairly new feature called lists. You will still have your main dashboard where you see everything all at once. For example, I have various interests. I have crafting interests. I have food allergy interests. I have friends back home that use Twitter that I want to keep track of separately than my Pittsburgh friends. So you can create lists. And you can put people in categories. So if you have, say, political Twitters that you're interested in, and like, you know, food blogging Twitters that you're interested in, you can separate them, create a name for the list, whatever you want it to be, and then you can click on that, and then only those people that you added to your list will show up, and it'll kind of organize your content a little bit more.
okay, I'm just like kind of sensitive about my time because I'm a software developer, right? And so like I might be on a project, and then if I'm getting like a message every 5 minutes, it just like totally ruins my concentration.
No, I understand. Well, you're not like obligated to be 100% connected. Like, you know, your phone does not have to be glued to your hand or, you know, everything. Like, I don't necessarily reply the second I get a message or something. And, you can go back, and Twitter has things like saying, this tweet was posted an hour ago, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, so that you can see when people have said things, and see the time lapse, which is kind of nice. I mean, when I say that you have to be active on Twitter, I don't mean you have to be, like, sending a tweet every hour, although lots of people, probably me included, do that. So,
You got set up auto replies like, Danny is busy right now, he will tweet back in 1 hour.
there are no auto replies on Twitter, unfortunately. Maybe we should send that idea to them. No, there are no auto replies. That would be kind of nice. I mean, I know some people, like a couple grad students, will be like, hey, I'll be absent from Twitter for a little while, and they'll put that tweet up, and like, oh, okay, that's why she's not around. Because I remember once I had a friend where she was not on Twitter for a couple days, and normally she's there like all day long, and I was like, where is this person? Where is she going? And I did the @ symbol, referred to her, and I was like, where are you? Why are you not on the internet? Because you normally are. And she'll be like, oh, I'm so busy with grad school programs and everything right now. I'll be like, oh, that's why you're not around. So,
Do you ever find that people of older generations who aren't active on the internet don't understand your online life? Like some of my family that are not of my generation are active on Facebook and blogging, and some of my family of older generations are not active on the internet. And they don't get it, and they bitch and moan all the time about my blogging and my tweeting.
oh my.
And they don't understand why. They think it's egotistical. They think it's narcissistic and shallow, and they kind of don't get it. And I wish I could have taken the keynote speech and shown it to them. And I may actually, if they record that, to show like this is why we do what we do.
There is a generational gap with social media because social media is new. I mean, the internet is still technically considered new. I mean, when our parents were our age, there was no internet, and so all of this, and how fast social media has been booming with Twitter and Foursquare and blogging, it's still spreading like wildfire. Like, what we have today, I can't even imagine what we're going to have maybe even in like 2-3 years from now, because everything is still developing. PodCamp and what we're talking about is going to look totally different. And so, that is a problem. I think just like any other generation gap, it's something that we have to deal with. And I know that, we know that it's not necessarily to be narcissistic. It's our new way of communication. Social media to us is kind of like newspapers and snail mail and everything to past generations. It's how we talk. It's how we interact. It's how we find out about events. It's how we organize get-togethers. And it's a really great learning tool. Like I said, I have a lot of food allergies, and some of them I was only diagnosed with about a year ago. And I had no idea what I was doing, what can I eat, what is safe, what do I cook, because I developed a wheat allergy, and that took a really big chunk of substance out of my life. Using blogging and Twitter really helped me find out what to do, because I researched other, gluten-free food bloggers. I follow a ton of people on Twitter now with celiac disease, which is a disease where you can't have wheat and barley. And like we were talking about earlier, they will post links to, recipes or resources and things like that. And that really helped me out. So if you have something going on, an issue, a project, say you're in grad school or something and you're researching something, I mean, we use that for our information now. Like, when I was in college, I never used a book to research. I was always online, like scholarly articles. It's how we get our information these days. So
one of my friends was stuck in Europe, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. She got a phone call that there was a family emergency. Mm-hmm. Everyone there was drunk. They couldn't have access to a phone. The only thing she had was she had an international BlackBerry. Mm-hmm. She had Facebook.
Yeah.
She posted an SOS call on Facebook.
Yeah.
We got on the internet, got her flight information, got her booked a flight.
Yeah.
Got her on the flight, made arrangements to pick her up at the airport, and got her back home.
Secret Agent L has a saying where people are either kind or they're not. And it's as simple as that. And I have found that, at least specifically around here, I call the people that I follow on Twitter my Twitter fam, because it kind of does become a family. Whether you've met somebody in real life yet or not, since you're talking all day and sharing common interests, you get to know them. And I know that I've been helped out because of Twitter. If you, like, for example, just to use Laura again, she's constantly trying to help people out through Twitter, saying, hey, send me a direct message, I have an issue going on. And yeah, you can find resources. Say you're moving and you need help and you don't have a truck, send a message out on Twitter, like, hey, if you help me move with a truck, I'll bake you a ton of cookies. People will respond to that and help each other out, because especially if you're getting to know people on a local level in your own community, I mean, you become friends, whether you've actually met or not. And it's definitely helped out people a lot. Yeah, agreed. Any other, it is 10:45, so I want to give you guys a chance to go to your other sessions. Any other questions or thoughts? Thank you. I saw that flash. You're funny. Okay. If you guys want, like, I can give you my Twitter handle to write down if you want. There's nothing to really write down. It's synonym for walk. Just run it together as one word, even though it's three. If you have any questions or just want to talk and chat, I am on Twitter constantly, thanks to my droid. And my blog that I have is Pittsburgh Perambulations. Again, just run it as one word, even though it's .blogspot.com.
Yay, another blog fun.
Yes, I tried to use WordPress for my business blog, and I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I'm so used to Blogger. It's what I've used since Zanga died out. So.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
On the business end.
Sure.
So, I'm doing a web comic, and a lot of the stuff that I target is all technology based.
Okay.
But even though I work in technology, I'm not I wouldn't do things like software programming or anything like that. But that's the fan base that I'm trying to get at. Okay. Because my stuff's more general. So is there, what kind of business sense for social networking? Like if I tweet something that isn't specific to something like software programming, that person's not going to see it, and it doesn't really bring in any kind of.
You are on Twitter, though, correct?
Yeah.
I have said before that all good businesses are on Twitter. If a business does not have a Twitter account, they're missing out. Use your hashtags. Seriously. You say you have a webcomic?
Yeah.
Use hashtags, comic, technology, just any slang. I'm not real hip on technology style people, but any slang that that you say for yourselves, use those hashtags and it will get out there. And then search yourself for people like that who you think may have an interest in what you have to offer. Search for them, start following them, and human curiosity will take over. They'll want to be like, who is this guy following me? They'll check you out, they'll see your feed, and then maybe they'll click on your links, and just keep advertising yourself on Twitter.
Something I know a lot of other webcomic users do, or creators do on Twitter, is they create Twitter accounts for the characters in the comics. So people can follow the characters.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's another way to interact with people who are interested in the comic. They can follow the characters, the fictional characters. You kind of post some things like the characters and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely create online personalities for your characters. It's fun. People like that. I don't know, since you're a techno person, I don't know if you know the web series The Guild at all.
No.
Yeah, they have characters online. Yeah, you can follow Zabu and everything like that. I'm sorry for anybody online who has no idea what I'm talking about right now. But yeah, definitely that will help promote things once you get a fan base. And yeah, absolutely.